There's a popular claim floating around that real backbone means never budging, never apologizing first, holding your ground until the other person caves. Supposedly, that's what earns respect in a relationship. Here's what real relationship research actually says about that specific claim. It's almost backwards. The actual psychology of backbone is well documented, and it looks nothing like refusing to budge. It applies to anyone in any relationship, regardless of gender. 5 real concepts: what backbone actually is, the 2 ways people get it wrong, why never budge specifically backfires, and what genuinely predicts respect instead. Number 1. Differentiation of self. Psychiatrist Murray Bowen's concept of differentiation of self is probably the closest real psychological term to what people mean by backbone. It's the capacity to stay grounded in your own values and thinking while remaining emotionally connected to someone else, without either collapsing into agreement to keep the peace or cutting off connection to protect your position. This is a genuinely different thing from stubbornness. A well-differentiated person can hear disagreement, consider it honestly, and still change their mind when they're actually wrong, because their sense of self isn't threatened by being wrong. That's the opposite of needing to win to feel secure. The tell. Does this person's position ever actually move when presented with real evidence, or does it only ever hold regardless of the argument? Real differentiation can update. Rigid positioning can't. That's the real target. Here's the first of 2 ways people miss it entirely, in the direction most people already know from this channel. 2. Failure Mode 1. Fusion and Appeasement. Bowen described fusion as the opposite extreme from differentiation, losing your own position entirely to maintain emotional closeness, agreeing, apologizing, or explaining yourself reflexively to avoid conflict, regardless of what you actually think. We covered this exact pattern in an earlier video on constant self-explanation. Fusion is the underlying mechanism. This is a real failure mode, and it does genuinely correlate with lower respect over time in research on relationship satisfaction. Chronic appeasement removes the sense that there's a real person with real positions on the other side of the relationship. But the popular claim assumes the fix for this is the opposite extreme, total refusal to budge. That's actually the second failure mode, and the research on it is specific. 3. Failure Mode 2. Stonewalling. Psychologist John Gottman's decades of relationship research identified 4 specific behaviors that most reliably predict relationship breakdown. He called them the 4 horsemen. One of them is stonewalling, withdrawing, shutting down, and refusing to engage until the other person capitulates. Never budge until they apologize first maps almost exactly onto this pattern. It's not differentiation. A differentiated person is still genuinely willing to update given real evidence. Stonewalling holds a position regardless of the evidence, specifically to force the other person into submission. Gottman's research found this pattern, not appeasement, among the strongest predictors of relationships ending, not the strongest predictor of respect. The tell. If the position holds no matter what's actually said, and the entire function is waiting the other person out, that's stonewalling wearing backbone's reputation. So, if neither extreme earns respect, what does the research actually say does? 4. Repair attempts. Gottman's research also identified what actually separates relationships that last from ones that don't. And it isn't who wins an argument. It's the presence of successful repair attempts, moments where either person acknowledges fault, de-escalates, or reconnects after conflict, and the other accepts it. Crucially, this includes apologizing when you're actually wrong. Couples who repair well after conflict, including the person who was in the wrong genuinely owning it, show substantially better long-term outcomes than couples where one person's refusal to ever apologize wins the specific disagreement. Winning the argument and having a good relationship are empirically not the same variable. The tell. Does an apology, when warranted, actually happen and get accepted? Or does the relationship run entirely on one person never conceding anything? There's one more piece, because the original claim mentions something specific: feeling protected. That's a real psychological effect. It just doesn't come from where the claim says it does. 5. What actually creates felt security in a relationship? Attachment research, building on John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth's foundational work, points to consistency and emotional regulation, not dominance, as what actually produces a felt sense of security in a relationship. A partner who stays calm, grounded, and predictable under stress creates safety. A partner who becomes rigid and unmovable during conflict, specifically until they get capitulation, creates the opposite, an environment where disagreement itself feels dangerous. The protection people are actually responding to in a genuinely secure partner is regulation. The sense that this person won't dissolve into anxiety and won't escalate into control, regardless of what happens. That's differentiation again, from a different angle, not the capacity to never be wrong. So the actual research-backed version of backbone, staying grounded in your own values, remaining genuinely willing to update when you're wrong, and repairing honestly when repair is warranted, not refusing to apologize until someone else caves. That pattern doesn't build respect. Gottman's own research found it among the strongest predictors of a relationship ending. None of this is gendered. Differentiation, stonewalling, and repair attempts show up the same way in research, regardless of who's doing them. If you want the deeper version of differentiation, how to actually build it rather than just define it, let me know in the comments.